All right, well, it all started, you guys, because I needed an oil change. This was in 2010, and I work in my practice in Durango, Colorado, about 6 days a week. I had a very unhealthy work-life balance, 6 days a week, 60 hours or so, and I needed an oil change. So on my day off, I drove 20 minutes into Durango and then 10 minutes past my clinic to go to the Jiffy Lube. And I sat there 45 minutes like an idiot, and then I drove all the way home. And the irony of the whole thing is that 5 doors down from my clinic is a place to get your oil changed. So a normal person would have dropped their car off before work and picked it up after work, but not this girl. I had a paper stamp card in my visor, and if you got 6 oil changes, you got the 7th one free. And I was in pursuit of my oil change, which is, I'm no mathematician, but I'm billing out like $200, $300 an hour in the clinic. And why am I wasting 2 hours to save? Because I wanted to get rewarded for being a good car owner. And I wanted my free oil change. And I observed my behavior, and I got to thinking, I wonder if I could do something like this at my practice. Because I live in a small mountain town, there's not enough clients for all the vets there. And can I get my clients to get people to drive past all the other people, drive past Walmart, drive past the pet food stores to come to my clinic? So I came up with this idea, I'm gonna start a loyalty program at the practice. And this was way before I started my company. I just was working on my business, and I thought, this seems like a good idea. And I've never dealt crack cocaine, but I think I know what it's like because my clients went crazy. You know, I made this program and I said, for every $100 you spend per invoice, I'm gonna give you a stamp. And when you get 16, I'm gonna give you a $100 credit towards a future visit. And they started just going gaga. And one day I had one of my best clients. They have a little dog named Brandy. She's a 14-year-old chow mix, and she's hypothyroid, and she's just like the cutest dog on the planet. She's got that hypothyroid fuzzy fur with a little hint of the rat tail. And she's owned by Bob and Darlene. And Darlene is lovely, and Bob is not. You know, they're the kind of family, it doesn't matter what you tell one of them, you always got to call and talk to the other one. And Bob hates spending money. He just hates it. In fact, I was one of the only vets that could work with him because he's such a grump. So Darlene calls me one day and she says, Stacey, Brandy's got diarrhea. I said, okay, bring in a stool sample, let's do a diet challenge. Okay, we tried that. She calls a couple days later, it's not working. I said, okay, well, let's do a week of metronidazole. So, you know, normal metronidazole gets better for 6 days, and on the 7th day, it comes back. So she called again, and I said, well, we better see her. She said, yeah, no problem, I'm gonna send Bob right down. Okay, so here comes Bob, and I examine her, and she's lost a little weight, and I tell him, you know what, Bob, we better do some diagnostics. I think I'd like to do some blood work and x-rays. Well, how much is that gonna cost? And I said, it's gonna be about $400. He's all grumpy. And I said, what do you wanna do? And he does one of these. If you've ever been in the clinic, you probably will recognize this move. The hand over of the leash. They can't even look at you. And then he says, well, what choice do I have? Yeah, you've heard that. I said, none, so I'll see you in a minute. So he goes to get coffee, I go in the back, and we get the blood, and we do the x-rays, and I put all the charges in the computer. And he had asked me how much it was gonna be, $400. I put everything in there, it's $480. I'm like, oh God, he's totally gonna freak out. So like any good doctor, are there any techs in the audience? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. This is a real deal. Like any good doctor, I just pretended I didn't know anything and I went into the next appointment. From all the vets out here to all the technicians, we're really sorry, but we do that. We're ultimately spineless. So I move into the next room, and here comes my nurse, Cynthia. She's from Texas. She opens the door. Dr. Stacee, do you have a minute? I need to talk to you. We have a question about the invoice for Mr. Marcus. I'm like, oh, shocker. So I come out of the room, and she says to me, Dr. Stacee, Mr. Marcus's bill is $480, and if he spends $20 more, he's going to get another stamp on his loyalty card, and he wants to know what else he can buy. And I thought, oh my Lord, something is going on. And that's when I got really obsessed with loyalty programs. I started reading a lot of books. I started listening to a lot of podcasts. You know, you can find a podcast on anything. I went to a Loyalty Expo conference out in Orlando. They have a meeting every year, much like this convention, where all the big hitters are there, the Marriotts, the Uniteds, the Dunkin' Donuts, and they're all wanting to know, how can we get more of this loyalty stuff? Because you know what? There's something to it. So I'm going to talk to you today about how loyalty programs look in other industries. And then we're going to look at the psychology of loyalty programs. And then we're going to look at some data that we've published from the veterinary industry. But I just want to know, are any of you guys doing loyalty programs for either your clients, if you're corporate, if you're a veterinarian, if you're a vendor or a provider in the industry? Anyone doing loyalty programs? How many of you belong to a loyalty program just as a person? Yeah. Okay, so this is from other industries, not the veterinary industry. In general, 81% of people say that they are more loyal to a brand that has a loyalty program. 66% of people say or admit that they've modified their spending behavior to maximize their point accumulation. Have you ever been shopping online, and if you just spend a little more, you'll get free shipping, so you bought something you didn't even mean to? Yeah. What did you say?
That's not okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, especially on Zappos. Yeah, you're saving money. Yes, you're smart. Here's other industries. People that are in a loyalty program spend 18% more than they did before the loyalty program. And their purchase frequency, their visits, goes up 28%. So you wonder, what's going on? What is happening to these people? Well, because I'm a veterinarian, I'm very interested in the neuroendocrine pathway of what's happening. And I started doing a bunch of research, and what I found out is when you get rewarded, you get a surge of progesterone and oxytocin. It's the same hormone you have when you have a baby, when you get a compliment, when you hit the slot machine in Vegas. You get a surge of varying intensity and duration of oxytocin and progesterone, which actually is important in helping you formulate your opinions about trust and bonding. And the other one well, let me back up. I want to tell you another story about that, because not long after I launched that loyalty program, I needed something off the printer. And I ran up to the front desk, and my colleague, Dr. Randy, was seeing one of our very good clients, Pam Bennett Skinner, and she was checking out, and Barbara had just presented her the invoice. And Pam yells at me across the lobby, "Hey, Dr. Stacee, guess what? I just got 8 stamps on my loyalty card." And I said, "Woo, that's awesome." And I walked back to the pharmacy, and I thought to myself, in all these years, I mean, you guys, I've been yelled a lot at over the bill, but no one has ever been so excited to yell they were happy they spent $800. And that's what she's doing, because she was under the influence of her oxytocin and progesterone. The other thing that's happening, though, is FOMO. Have you guys heard of FOMO? This is serious stuff. This is very powerful. It's the fear of missing out on an opportunity. And if you've ever been at dinner and you're at a restaurant, hopefully this isn't you, and you look around and everyone's having dinner, but they're all on their phone, they're FOMOing. They're looking at their emails, they're looking at their Facebook. They're worried about missing out on an opportunity. The pull is so strong that they can't hardly not do it. Have you ever bought 2-for-1 t-shirts? If you have, you FOMO'd. Because I promise you, you don't need 2 of the same t-shirt. But what you think is if I don't do it, I'm gonna miss out on an opportunity to save myself some money. And that's what's happening. And so I put this loyalty program in front of my practice. And here's the way I like to think about it. This is all of my clients. This is my A client list. B, C, D, and F. These are the loyal people. You don't need a loyalty program to know who they are. They're the people that bring you Christmas cookies and write you thank you notes and give you a hug. They've been coming to your practice for years. You might have been taking care of their parents, their grandparents. Everybody's been your client for a long time. These people, though, I like to think of them this way: B, C, D, and F. And honestly, the C, D, and F people, I don't have much hope for them. They're the ones that suck the life out of you. They're the ones that come in every 3 years for the rabies shot. They never do the dental. They show up with the dog that's been vomiting for 7 days and they only have $200. So we're not going to talk about those people. A loyalty program isn't going to move them. But you know who it does move is the B people. With a little motivation, we can start to see the B people become A clients. And then the loyalty program affects this group, the good group. They start visiting more and they start spending more. So we're targeting the best clients of the practice, the top tier. And what I'm here to tell you is there is untapped potential in this group of people. So I had all these things, all these theories about what was going on, and it took me a long time to get to a point where I could present some actual data. And this is the first report that I'm aware of in the industry around loyalty programs specific to veterinary medicine. And I partnered with my friends at Vet Success. Thank you, Martin. So you know the data's legit. And what we did is we analyzed 28 practices that had 75,000 pet owners in those practices. And we put the loyalty program, the one I told you about, where you get a stamp for every $100 you spend per invoice, and when you get 16, you get a $100 credit. We ran that standard program for 1 year in the practice, and then we analyzed the results. And here's what we found. 3.5% of the 75,000 people got the reward. So it's not a ton of people, but look what they did. They spent $621 more a year than they had done the year prior. And they visited 3 additional times that year than they had done the year prior. And you add all that up, it resulted in a $91,000 incremental revenue gain for the practice, just for being nice. I mean, we're just being nice, we're rewarding the good clients. And we asked ourselves, what are they doing with that $621? Where are they spending it? So the Vet Success team dug down deeper, and what we found is they had huge lifts in these things. Exams, 1,300%. You know why? Because if you have a $100 credit on account somewhere, suddenly it seems free to bring your dog into the vet. It removes the friction and the barrier of coming in. Labs went up, services like surgery and dental, all of these very important things that help us drive compliance went up too. So we're feeling pretty good about it. And here are my big key takeaways for you. Less than 5% of the practice getting involved can lift the revenue $100,000. It doesn't take very many people to make a change. And we're targeting the good people. And what I'm here to tell you is I love a new client as much as the next girl, but we're sitting on an untapped gold mine with our existing clients. And maybe it's time, as a profession, we start really taking better care of the people in the practice instead of always trying to get new. The other thing we learned the more engaged the front desk is, the more revenue you earn. And I don't think that just applies to the loyalty program. In our study, we had a few outliers, some practices that were making $260,000, $270,000. And I went and visited those practices to say, what are you doing? You know what it is? They had a very engaged front desk. They were all on board, they had a strong manager, and they were giving this messaging to every single client, is there anything else you need? Because if you use our loyalty program, you're gonna get rewarded for what you need anyways. And this is an opportunity for us to bring revenue back into our channel. When we think about rewarding people for good behavior, we see a very big response. So I hope that I've inspired you to think about the benefits of rewarding your best clients. And I hope that we can turn every practice into a place where clients will just scream at the front desk, I'm so excited to spend lots of money with you today.